You know that feeling when you step out into your garden in the morning, coffee still warm in your hand, and something just catches your eye in a way that makes you pause. Right there in the middle of my vegetable bed, there's this plain white PVC pipe. Nothing fancy. It sticks up about 4 inches out of the soil with a cheap plastic lid balanced on top, like an afterthought. My neighbors? They walk past and give me that slow, sideways look every single time. You can almost hear them thinking, he's finally lost it this time. My gardening buddies used to stop and ask what on earth I was doing. After a while, they just stopped asking. They figured it was one of my weird experiments and moved on. But here's what none of them actually know. That ugly, unremarkable little pipe is quietly producing the most expensive fertilizer on earth every single day, completely for free, delivered straight to the roots of my plants without me lifting a single finger. No turning heavy compost piles, no hauling bags from the store, no measuring, no schedule, no nothing. Just a pipe in the ground and a system that keeps running whether I'm out there every day or not. And once I show you how it actually works, I promise you're never going to look at a bag of fertilizer the same way again. Most of us grew up believing that good compost has to come with real sacrifice. You give up a corner of the yard for a big bin that slowly takes over. You brace yourself every time you lift the lid because, let's be honest, it can get pretty rough on the nose. You hand over your Saturday morning to turning, mixing, watering, waiting. And after weeks or months of that, you still have to shovel the stuff out and carry it across the bed to where your plants actually need it. It's a lot. What if the entire system was kind of broken by design? What if someone figured out a way to let the earth do every single step underground on its own quiet timeline, completely out of sight? That's exactly what this pipe does. This isn't some brand new gadget someone just invented. It's actually one of the oldest agricultural secrets on the planet, and it got buried almost deliberately, sometime around the middle of the last century. Think about the Aztecs. Long before anyone ever dreamed up synthetic fertilizer, the people of Mesoamerica understood that earthworms were the real invisible engine beneath their soil. They didn't go digging them up or moving them around. They built their entire growing systems around them, dropping organic waste right in place so the worms could do what worms have done for hundreds of millions of years. Fast forward to the 1880s. There was this quiet, almost obsessive English scientist named Charles Darwin. Most of us remember him for evolution, right? But Darwin himself said that the last book he wrote, this dense, detailed study of earthworm behavior and how they transform soil, was one of the most important pieces of work he ever did. He spent the final 40 years of his life watching them, measuring them, proving with careful observation after careful observation that earthworms are the primary architects of fertile soil. Not rain, not sunlight, the worms. That knowledge didn't vanish because it was wrong. It got crowded out. After World War II, the same chemical plants that had been turning out explosives suddenly needed a new market. They pivoted hard into nitrogen fertilizer. Almost overnight, the whole conversation in agriculture shifted from living soil biology to bags of chemicals sitting on a shelf. The industry needed farmers, and eventually us backyard gardeners, to believe that real fertility came from something you bought, not from what was already happening in the ground. So, the worm got quietly forgotten. Not because the science failed, but because the science was inconvenient for people who needed you to keep buying something every single season. What Darwin proved, and what got pushed aside, is exactly why that little pipe in my garden works. And the way it actually functions is stranger and more precise than most people expect. Earthworms don't have eyes. They don't have ears. But every single centimeter of their skin is wired with an incredibly sensitive chemical detection system. They read the world almost entirely through moisture and scent gradients moving through the soil. And one of the strongest signals they chase is the smell of decomposing organic matter. So when I drop a banana peel or a handful of coffee grounds into that pipe and snap the lid shut, the decomposition process starts almost immediately. Microbes jump in, Yeah, breaking things down and releasing specific volatile compounds that drift out through all the holes I drilled along the lower part of the pipe. Those compounds spread slowly outward through the damp soil like an invisible broadcast signal. Every earthworm within range picks it up and starts moving toward it. This isn't random wandering. Soil biology research shows earthworms can navigate toward food sources with surprising directional accuracy, following chemical trails the same way a shark follows a scent plume through water. That pipe becomes a permanent feeding station. It pulls worms in from a wide radius, well beyond the edges of the bed. They slip in through the holes, feed inside the chamber, and then they do the most important part. They leave again. They crawl back out and tunnel through the entire root zone of your bed. As they go, they aerate the soil with every passage, digest organic material along the way, and deposit their castings, that rich worm waste, in a continuous trail exactly where your plant roots are the hungriest. You're not building a compost bin. You're building a worm highway with a permanent rest stop right in the middle. And the fertility isn't trapped inside the pipe. It's being carried and distributed across the whole bed by the worms themselves, exactly where it's needed most. Now let's talk about what those worms are actually leaving behind, because this is where it gets really interesting. When worm castings, the technical name for their waste, sell for anywhere from $15 to $30 for a small 5-liter bag at most garden centers. It's marketed as premium, almost luxury fertilizer. And the price tag only tells half the story. Regular chemical fertilizers give you those 3 big numbers on the bag: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and they deliver them in a fast-release form that basically floods the soil. The plants get a quick burst of growth, then the nutrients wash away with the next good rain. The plant gets a hit, and before long it needs another hit. It's a dependency cycle built right into the product. Worm castings work on a completely different principle. The nutrients are bound inside a slow-release biological matrix, so they become available gradually, in response to the plant's own signals rather than all at once. But beyond the basic NPK, castings carry something no synthetic fertilizer has ever managed to bottle: a living microbiome full of beneficial bacteria and fungi that form direct symbiotic relationships with plant roots. They contain natural plant growth hormones, auxins and cytokinins, that tell roots to develop faster and help the whole plant handle stress better. They're loaded with humic acids that actually improve soil structure, helping sandy soils hold on to moisture and compacted soils breathe again. Studies, including one published back in 2011 in Applied Soil Ecology, showed that even small concentrations of worm castings mixed into growing media significantly outperformed synthetic fertilizer in both germination rates and early plant growth. The difference wasn't just nutrition. It was that biological conversation happening between the casting microbiome and the plant root system. Your pipe is generating exactly that material right now at no cost, deposited straight into the zone where your roots are hungriest. The factory is already running underground. You just haven't plugged it in yet. So let's walk through building it together, because the materials are almost embarrassingly simple. You need one length of PVC pipe, ideally 4 to 6 inches in diameter, or even a cheap plastic bucket with a lid from the hardware store. The diameter matters. You want enough interior volume to hold a meaningful amount of kitchen scraps without having to feed it every single day, but not so large that the decomposition inside slows down from low microbial density. For depth, you're aiming to bury it so roughly 2/3 of its total length sits below the soil surface, leaving about 4 inches above ground as your easy loading port. For most home garden beds, an 18 to 24-inch pipe works perfectly. That puts the bottom of the chamber right in the zone where soil moisture stays more consistent and worm activity is naturally highest. Before you drop it in the ground, drill your holes. Grab a standard drill and a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch bit and cover the entire lower 2/3 of the pipe with holes spaced roughly 2 to 3 inches apart in a scattered pattern all the way around. You're not building a filter here. You're building a whole system of doorways. The more holes, the more worm traffic, the wider and more even the distribution of castings through your bed. For the bottom, you have a couple of easy choices. You can leave it completely open, so worms can enter from directly below, and any liquid from decomposition drains naturally into the surrounding soil, carrying soluble nutrients with it. Or you can cap it loosely with a piece of mesh or landscape fabric to keep larger debris from clogging things while still letting worms pass freely. Both approaches work fine. I usually go with open bottom because it's simpler and just a touch more effective for movement. Position the pipe as close to the center of your planting bed as your layout allows. The goal is to maximize that radius of influence so the worms traveling outward pass through as many root zones as possible before they stop and deposit their castings. Once it's in the ground and the lid is back on top, the infrastructure is basically done. Now it all comes down to how you feed it, and this is where most people either get it right away or quietly develop a couple of small habits that can slow things down. The rule is actually simpler than it sounds. Almost any raw kitchen waste goes in. Fruit and vegetable scraps, banana peels, apple cores, wilted salad greens, or coffee grounds, use tea bags with the staple removed, crushed eggshells, a little plain cooked rice or pasta in small amounts, and torn up cardboard or newspaper to help balance moisture. These are the inputs that decompose at a rate the worms can easily track and respond to, keeping that chemical signal strong and steady through the soil. What you leave out is just as important. No meat, no fish, no dairy. Those break down through a different bacterial pathway and produce ammonia compounds that actually repel earthworms instead of attracting them. Skip cooked food that has oils, sauces, or heavy seasoning. Go easy on citrus peels because too much acidity can throw off the microbial balance inside the chamber. And definitely avoid anything treated with pesticides or herbicides, including scraps from some store-bought produce. Feeding frequency is pretty forgiving. Every 2 or 3 days is ideal for keeping consistent activity going, but the system easily handles gaps of a week or more if life gets busy. The worms that wander off during a quiet stretch will come right back as soon as the signal picks up again. The pipe is a permanent feature of your bed, not a machine that breaks down if you miss a feeding or two. You'll know the system is really working when you start seeing dark, crumbly castings accumulating visibly inside the chamber after several weeks. When the soil immediately surrounding the pipe becomes noticeably darker and more loose and crumbly than the rest of the bed. And especially when the plants closest to that pipe begin to outpace everything else in the garden in ways that become almost embarrassing to explain to anyone who hasn't seen it for themselves. If you ever lift the lid and catch a sharp, aggressively unpleasant smell instead of that nice, earthy, fungal scent of healthy decomposition, just slow your inputs a little and toss in a handful of dry cardboard or dried leaves to rebalance the carbon to nitrogen ratio inside. The system self-corrects pretty quickly. Everything this pipe produces happens silently underground, using nothing but the scraps you were already throwing away anyway. And that simple piece of knowledge is exactly the kind that certain industries have always preferred you never stumbled across. If you made it this far, you now know something that most people who have been gardening for decades still don't know. Not because it's complicated, not because it requires special skills or expensive tools, but because a system that turns your everyday kitchen scraps into the most potent fertilizer on Earth, forever, using biology that's been here for 500 million years. Well, that's genuinely terrible for the business model of every company that needs you to keep buying bags every single season. It's not some grand conspiracy, it's just economics. So when you share this video, understand that you're not doing me a favor. You're doing something quietly subversive. You're putting this information in front of someone who has probably been buying bags of fertilizer every year without ever questioning whether they really needed to. Every single person who watches this and decides to build one of these pipes is one fewer customer stuck in that endless cycle. If that feels like something worth being part of, hit subscribe. Not because I need the numbers, but because every video on this channel is built around the same simple premise. The most powerful tools for growing your own food have already been discovered. They're almost always free, and they're almost never the thing being loudly advertised to you. And in the next video, I'm going to show you something that makes this pipe feel like a warm-up. A technique for rebuilding completely dead, compacted, lifeless soil in under 60 days using nothing but materials most people throw away. No tilling, no expensive amendments from the store, just biology working exactly the way it was always supposed to. That one you really don't want to miss. If this little revelation about the hidden power of earthworms has changed how you look at your garden, please like the video and subscribe. We're uncovering the agricultural history and biological secrets that the industry tried to bury. Let's cultivate a more self-sufficient future together. I'll see you in the next one.